Good evening from Lara and me. Welcome to Wednesday night's calendar.
Hello, thanks very much for joining us. These are tonight's main stories.
The Health Secretary says he will look into Bradford Teaching Hospital's NHS Trust after a landmark whistleblowing case. We'll have the details. Also tonight.
The Labour Party is the party of work.
Balancing the books, the Chancellor puts a spring in the defence budget, but at what cost?
We'll be hearing from Rachel Reeves' constituency, and I'll be taking the temperature of our region's MPs.
A world first from researchers in Leeds, the mini rolling robot that could revolutionise early cancer detection.
Why it's hoped Daffodil Diaries could help capture what's set to be a blooming good year.
And after a foggy start for some first thing this morning, plenty of sunshine for the afternoon. It's been a bit of a wowzer Wednesday. What about the rest of the week? All the detail a little later on.
But first, to the government's battle to balance the books, which critics say is hitting the poorest and those most at need.
170 miles from Parliament, where the Chancellor's spring statement was announced earlier, those affected by cuts in her own Leeds constituency say they're struggling.
The key headlines from Rachel Reeves, well, she went further with cuts to welfare, but pledged to deliver growth and stability. There were boosts to defence spending, which has implications here in Yorkshire.
More on that in a moment, but let's start in her constituency of Leeds West and Pudsey, where Jonathan Brown has spent the day and sent this report.
Economic forecasts aren't often cause for celebration.
We've got table 1.
And for those dishing up food at this community project in the Chancellor's own constituency, today it was no different. It opened during COVID to support those struggling to make ends meet. 5 years on, it's busier than ever.
Set out this government's plans to reform the welfare system. The Labour Party is the party of work. We believe that if you can work, you should work.
Watching the spring statement amongst the supplies with which they feed 110 households per week is Director Richard. Cuts to benefits, including halving the health element of universal credit, are some of the plans he believes will see demand grow even further.
We are stretched, as most of my colleagues around the city are. Our work tends to see small percentage increases year on year. I'd expect that to continue to rise because the problems with inflation, the economy are long-lasting.
All the while, those attending the weekly lunch club for older people were showing little appetite for the government's recent priorities.
I'd like to see Rachel survive on what they get. Next to nothing. If they had an opportunity, these people on credit, they would be working.
Groups like this, people are suffering and they are feeling the effects of it.
A couple of miles down the road in Farsley, businesses are preparing for next month's hike in national insurance and the minimum wage.
Bit of spring in the air with these, isn't it?
Raymond's the fourth generation of his family to run this greengrocers.
A lot of people voted Labour, but I'd like to see what they think now. She seems to be in all hard-working people in this country.
At the neighbouring Sunnybank Mills, a hub for dozens of businesses, reaction to some slices of the statement, like reductions in foreign aid and increased defence spending, have gone down better than others. Emmanuel opened this cheesemongers in November, having moved from France 4 years earlier.
It's absolutely right from the government to react, because there is something happening in the world, and if we stay and we say, oh, let's see what's going on, we can get some issues. Each of us, yes, we've got to be positive.
Though there are others who want politicians to reshape support for smaller retailers. Sophie says she's paying herself less than minimum wage to keep her jewellery and craft shop afloat.
It's really scary, to be honest, to run a business at the moment. Last week we had our first day where we had 0 sales in the shop. If you don't come to places like this, then you'll lose them.
Meanwhile, volunteers in this area continue to put food on the table for more and more people in need. As the government plots a path to prosperity, people here say they'll believe it when they see it. Jonathan Brown, ITV News, Leeds.
Well, let's get some more detail now on what was announced by the Chancellor this afternoon. Welfare benefits are being cut by £4.8 billion, with the news today that the health benefit element of universal credit will be reduced by 50% and then frozen for new claimants.
It was confirmed that defence spending will be boosted by an extra £2.2 billion next year, while the foreign aid budget will be reduced.
There'll be steps to cut the costs of running government by £2 billion by the end of the decade to make the state leaner and more agile.
The government wants house building to reach a 40-year high, with more than 1.3 million new homes planned in the UK within the next 5 years.
And there'll be new measures to crack down on tax evasion, with the aim of increasing the number of tax fraudsters being charged each year by 20%.
Well, let's go live to Westminster, where MPs have been digesting the main points. And our political correspondent, Charanpreet Kaur, has been looking at the details too. A busy day for Charanpreet. Is there anything to be optimistic about in this spring statement?
Well, Laura, I'm not sure optimism is the first word that springs to mind from the conversations that I've been having with MPs today from across the political divide. Although I do think one thing, the one announcement that many MPs from different parties would agree on is that extra money for defence, £2.2 billion over the next year. Of course, the government's main priority there is boosting our national security in the face of global pressures, but they're also hoping that this could create jobs too, including in our region at Leconfield and Catterick.
Well, today we've announced the biggest sustained increase in defence spending since the Cold War, with £5 billion extra for defence starting in the next financial year. What we're also announcing is a £1.6 billion contract for Babcock to upkeep our military vehicles. There's 125 jobs in Yorkshire in support of these vehicles, and this is about getting our kit and equipment ready for deployment.
National security does affect all of us, but not all of us will get new jobs as a result. Earlier today, there were protesters here in Parliament. They had placards saying things like "cut war, not welfare." And I think that really underlined the fact that for around 3 million people who are about to see their benefits being cut, this increase in defence spending will really not come as much comfort at all.
A hard pill probably for the public to swallow. What do MPs think?
Well, I think it's a hard pill for Labour MPs to swallow too. It's very difficult to stand up as a Labour MP and defend cuts to welfare, and I think that could result in some sort of backbench rebellion when it comes to these measures being brought through Parliament. Of course, the opposition is having a field day too, and that means that the government is facing criticism from different sides for very different reasons.
I'm very worried because I know my constituents are worried. I met them at the weekend and they are saying that it's going to have impacts on them even being able to work, of those that do work, but also it's going to mean that many people are placed in a much more vulnerable place and therefore dependent on our public services for support.
Our manifesto around those things was much more ambitious. What Rachel Reeves is saying is around £4 billion of savings to welfare reform. We do welcome that. We were more ambitious. We were hoping for £12 billion of welfare reform, and that's only a fraction in terms of the extra costs we've seen since 2019.
On the face of it, you might expect Kevin Holland-Rake to agree with what some of the Chancellor had to offer today. I mean, as you heard from him there, his party also agrees that the welfare bill is too high. The problem then is the tone, and the tone today from the Chancellor was very downbeat, with growth now projected to be half what it was initially forecast to be. Now, the opposition blames the Chancellor for that. The Chancellor blames global pressures, but for people watching at home, all that will mean is struggling to make ends meet and worrying about the future.
OK, Charanpreet, thank you. All the details you need to know about the spring statement are, of course, on our website. Just head to itv.com/calendar. The Health Secretary says he's looking into concerns about Bradford Royal Infirmary, which one whistleblower claims put patient safety at risk.
Dr Maxwell McLean was chair of the Bradford Teaching Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust when he raised concerns over a number of issues. including significant delays in investigating baby deaths.
Well, he commissioned an independent investigation that corroborated his concerns, but he says he was then forced to resign. Now, a landmark ruling has found he should have whistleblower protections and can therefore progress his case to an employment tribunal. He's been speaking to our reporter Amelia Beckett.
Every year, around 6,000 babies are born across Bradford Teaching Hospital's NHS Trust. Most will go on to have healthy, happy lives. But in 2021, a string of deaths at the unit led the then chair of the Trust's board, Dr. Max McLean, to raise concerns.
I recognised that we were taking far too long to investigate newborn infant deaths. 14 months rather than 60 days, which is the target set by NHS England for such investigations. How could learning be applied?
He commissioned an independent review seen by ITV Calendar, which corroborated his concerns. But days later, he says, he was forced out.
An independent review that found that the CEO had fallen short of standards expected for the role. And yet within 2 weeks of the board receiving that report, I was punished for standing up for our communities and for maternity care.
Since then, Max has fought to prove he should have had whistleblowing protections. He's been backed by Bradford MP Naz Shah, who's now raised his case with the Health Secretary.
There appears to be a clear culture of targeting and witch hunting against the whistleblowers at Bradford Teaching Hospitals Trust. I appreciate the Secretary of State's team supporting me, but can he meet with me given these recent developments?
Secretary of State. I'm grateful to the honourable member for raising these serious issues. I think there are issues of concern at play here, and she clearly describes a concerning situation for the local community. We do need to look carefully at what's happening here, and my honourable friend, the Minister of State for Health, would be delighted to meet her.
Now, a landmark ruling has found Max should be seen as a worker at the Trust and therefore be entitled to whistleblowing protection. That now means he can take his case to full employment tribunal.
It's so important that boards of NHS trusts feel able to speak up without fear or favour and know that they can be protected for doing so as long as they do so appropriately. We're not trying to point the finger at people or pick on people. We're trying to create safe services. And if there's a fear of doing so by raising things that are going wrong, it'll never work.
A spokesperson for Bradford Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust told us, as these matters remain subject to ongoing legal proceedings, we are unable to comment further at this time. We do, however, welcome the opportunity to present our position in full at the tribunal. Max is now having to crowdfund to be able to take his case to full employment tribunal. But he says he hopes by doing so, he'll enable others like him to speak out in the name of patient safety. Amelia Beckett, ITV News, Leeds.
Well, I'm pleased to say Amelia can join us now. Amelia, has the Trust had anything else to say about this evening?
Yeah, well, this has been a long ongoing case, but we've actually heard from them in the last half an hour. They've told us that they denied that Dr. McLean raised concerns with maternity care and maternity deaths, or that some investigations took 14 months as he claims. Now, those claims are, of course, what Dr. McLean says pushed him out, as you heard in my report. So now this landmark ruling today means he hopes to take that claim to full employment tribunal.
OK, Amelia, thank you very much for the update. OK. Well, still to come before the end of the programme, wildlife on the web. High above the streets of Sheffield, the peregrine falcons are back in town. Plus,
it's lovely and warm, the sky is blue, spring is definitely on its way. And what do we do at this time of year, children? Spring clean! We spring clean, of course. Join us here in Halifax later to see how we're getting on.
Thank you, Victoria. Now, researchers at the University of Leeds say that a magnetic robot they've developed could transform how certain types of cancers are found by doctors.
Yeah, amazing technology this. The team behind it says it's the first time it's been possible to get high-quality 3D images from deep inside the gut.
Now, that's something that they say has never been done before, and it could mean quicker diagnosis for colon cancer, as well as, crucially, better outcomes for patients. Vicky Smith went to take a look.
It's being described as a robotic revolution. Engineers here say this tech could mean a life-saving diagnosis in minutes, not weeks.
The first main difference is
Currently, doctors use a colonoscope like this. It takes a biopsy which has to be sent away for testing, taking time and resources.
this disease is not really painful until it reaches a very, very dangerous stage. And so an early detection is crucial, but the current technology doesn't really allow an early detection.
What makes this tech unique is its shape. This is a model of the tiny device that goes inside the colon. The team here have spent more than a decade developing what's called an oloid, meaning with the help of magnets, it can roll through the body, taking 3D images as it goes.
What we've got is a large permanent magnet that is inside this cavity here on a robotic arm. And then we have an endoscope inside, which also has a permanent magnet. And so that means that because we've got two magnets, we're able to drag the one that's inside with the robotic arm.
And as this is happening, you're getting images
yes.
at the same time?
Yes,
Okay.
so we have a camera on board, and that camera allows us to see the inside of the colon. They can just look at the camera feed and decide, I want to go right, I want to go left, up, down, forward, back. That they can
Clinical trials have already taken place in America, with hope that this design could be used in the NHS within years.
We're really close to that point. The platform in general has been validated in the clinical setting and in human trials and is undergoing FDA approval. I think that's really the best part of working on projects like this, is being able to see the real world impact that it can have.
With global ambitions for this made in Leeds technology, they're hoping it won't be too long until their design is rolled out to the world. Vicky Smith, ITV News, Leeds.
Gosh, it is amazing what technology can do
Absolutely.
these days. Now then, it's been a beautiful day, hasn't it? Especially in Halifax, actually, where volunteers have rolled up their sleeves for the Great British Spring Clean.
Yes, the Park Ward community have joined with the local policing team and Parkinson Lane Primary School, pulling on their high vis to have a bit of a spruce up.
Starting now to mark Ramadan, the litter pick is the first phase of an initiative which aims to restore pride in their community. Victoria Whittam joined them.
Well, the sun is shining here in Park Ward, part of Halifax, and people are making the most of it. 70 volunteers throughout this area, all litter picking for the Great British Spring Clean. But the nice thing is, it's not just for one day only, is it, Tony?
No, this is a project that's going to be keeping going. We've got a fantastic collaboration between the police, the council, the local college and Parkinson Lane School. And the idea is that we're going to do this litter pick more than once, and then eventually phase 2 of the project, we're going to start putting planters in and works of art which the students are going to make. We're going to brighten up this area.
Fantastic, thank you. Well, the driving force behind this project has been the young people from the local school. I'm joined by two of them from the school council now. Why did you want to be involved?
I wanted to be involved to make sure our area and community is clean, to make sure that if people want to come, they don't think that our area, we don't care about our area, they want to come again and visit places.
Because it's all local area people that are littering, so it's our duty to clean up.
Well said. Now, among the clean-up crew is the local police officers here. It must be really nice to see young people doing something so positive in their area.
It is, yeah. The children from Parkinson Lane School have been fantastic, as well as the staff, in terms of contributing to the Great British Spring Clean. They want to make a difference in their community and set the example to others that don't drop litter, because it just makes your community untidy.
And it's so good to see that you're actually getting involved and you're doing some of it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Lead by example.
Well, one of the things is getting the community all together. It's really diverse here, and that has been a bit of a challenge, hasn't it?
It has been. The biggest issue that we face in Park Ward when I first got elected was litter. And I had a vision as to how to clean up Park Ward, and this is it. Local people, local communities, local institutions, and we're making sure that Park Ward is clean and tidy for people to enjoy.
But one of the difficulties, of course, is once you've picked up the litter, what do you do with it? That's where you came in.
Yeah. As a neighbourhood team, it's our duty to make sure we support our local partners and elected members. So one of the things that my team did was to arrange for the skips to be placed in locations, key locations. So it's been a great initiative, and it's all about keeping Britain tidy.
Well, I'll let you get back to it. Of course, we're doing this for the future of the young people, and it's the young people who are setting the scene today and working really hard. Well done, guys. Thank you very much.
And absolutely great to see the kids from Parkinson Lane Primary School.
Yeah, great excuse to get out in the sunshine, especially, Kerry, when things are springing into life.
Oh, this time of year, I keep saying it's absolutely brilliant, and not just for, you know, for nature, just for us. We do respond really well to good weather, don't we?
Especially us in here.
And especially if you're litter picking. So well done this afternoon. It was 17 Celsius nearly, so a really good day, and we've continued to see new life emerging. I love the spring green. I always say it's not the colour you want to wear, but oh my goodness, when it's emerging in wildlife and in nature, it looks great. So a big thank you to Sean for this, which I believe is a maple on the go, and this is a horse chestnut on the go, of course, against blue skies. But I'm going to call today a Wildlife Wednesday. I've had a few wildlife picks. So this was a deer first thing this morning. A big thank you to Roy Briggs for sharing. Of course, it was misty and murky first thing, but not spoiling things too much. A bit of a sunbathe with this baby lamb first thing this afternoon. Absolutely gorgeous. And of course, the puffins are returning to both Flamborough and Benson Cliffs at the moment. The next couple of months is going to be really interesting there. And the birds are nesting. I know, absolutely gorgeous. Sticking with Wildlife Wednesday, a pair of peregrine falcons have returned to nest on a church in Sheffield. Since they first spread 13 years ago, the peregrines of St George's Church have become an established feature in the city skies. That was a live shot there, and as well as their popularity in the city, they've also become something of an internet sensation. They've gone viral with thousands of followers online and millions of visitors to the webcam. Absolutely brilliant. Every year, everybody waiting on their phones for that, for sure.
How great to get those pictures. That's fantastic.
Brilliant.
Lovely stuff. I like your daffodil there.
Thank
Very nice
you, and
indeed.
thank you to Robert.
I mean, it's a real sign of spring, synonymous with spring, isn't it? Quite poetic, a plant, really. In fact, take a look at this. We have our own host of golden daffodils right here in the calendar garden. Look at that, how lovely.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
haven't we done well?
Haven't we just?
And now the Royal Horticultural Society wants us to record exactly what type of daffs we see and you see as part of a major new project called Daffodil Diaries. Lauren Hall's been finding out more.
They're everywhere right now. Dazzling displays of daffodils. They're a welcome sight in Sheffield's botanical gardens, and there are plenty more to admire at Allerton Lakeside Park in Pocklington. We're coming into peak season for them, and wherever you go, people describe them as one of their favourite flowers.
It's a sign of spring, isn't it? So it's just a nice, happy time of year.
I just love all the different colours and the shapes. They're beautiful.
There they are, bright yellow, waking you up after the winter.
And they come up every year, like they fill up a whole space.
Yes.
It's lovely to see all of them together.
It's that time of year when we're surrounded by daffodils. And if you are out admiring them over the next few weeks, then you're being asked to record the ones you see and where you're seeing them as part of a huge citizen science project taking place all over the UK. The Royal Horticultural Society wants people to go online to help map thousands of different varieties, pinpointing exactly when and where they're growing. It's to give scientists a better understanding of daffodils, and they're also hoping to track down these 3 rare varieties, 2 of which are very elusive, and this one in the centre may even be extinct.
Quite often you don't know what's growing in your garden, so it is entirely possible you find something coming up in spring that you didn't know was there. And quite often you buy things in bulk bags, very unlabeled, and some turns out to be interesting. But also, given that for us at the RHS to cover the whole UK and the whole flowering period, sort of from the end of November and middle of May, to collect the same level of data by ourselves is impossible. So the public's help is effectively essential.
What better excuse is there? And with experts predicting this is a particularly good year for daffodils, it seems there's never been a better time to go out and admire them. Lauren Hall, ITV News.
I think that was just perfect, the way those two ladies said that daffodils wake you up from winter. Poetic.
They've got a job with me. I'm sleepy all year round, regardless. I didn't know there were thousands of varieties.
Well, I've seen two of those ones that you don't see very much of.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
You need to get
Tick,
reporting.
tick.
There you go. Right, here's Kerry with the weather.
Today's forecast: seafood and sugar cube towns. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, a lovely day across the region today. Plenty of sunshine after that misty start. This was the Leeds-Liverpool Canal at Kirkstall. A big thank you to Bev. Awesome looking up at those trees with the spring greens. A big thank you to Sean and also to Helen for this shot looking out across Calderdale. Keep them coming. Weather photos at itv.com. So at high pressure today, hanging on for most of tomorrow before low pressure tries to take charge Friday into Saturday, but actually most of the rain coming through overnight, tomorrow night and Saturday night, and then high pressure rebuilds as we head through into next week. So overnight tonight it's dry. There will be some clear spells, especially for this evening. As we head into the early hours, maybe some misty low cloud over the Pennines and a bit more cloud in general, but most of us are frost free, although in rural sheltered spots down into the low single figures by the time we reach dawn. Yes, it was that misty murky start, but still beautiful this morning in many places. 5:53 and 6:32 are your sun times for tomorrow. After the morning mist and low cloud lifts, we'll see a good dose of sunshine into the afternoon tomorrow. High cloud will try and push in from the north and west, perhaps an odd shower over the Pennines, but we stay bright and breezy and warm, 17, possibly 18 Celsius. The skies start clear tomorrow evening, and then this front pushes through overnight, and it's behind that we get a much cooler feel, although still just above the average for the time of year on Friday, with a mix of sunny spells and blustery showers. For the weekend, it's mostly dry. There'll be some sunshine around at times, some rain coming through Saturday night into Sunday, often breezy and temperatures just above the average for the time of year.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There you go, that's your forecast.
I know how I'm spending my evening. I'm going to be glued to that Peregrine can.
I know, desperate to see all the action.
It's a bit like waiting for paint to dry.
I know, but when it happens, it's amazing.
All right, well, thank you very much for watching us. Arif will be back at 10:30. Good night.
Tomorrow.
Bye.